which is growth. But I'm not going to tell you about the tactics, about outreach, appointment setting, sales, and all of these things. I'm going to tell you about something else. What is growth actually? And what do we see in the people who make the amount of money that we want to make? Because growth for them is different than growth for the average person. I found a theory that growth is the rate of learning plus the rate of change. I've seen it in many people. They learn, but they are unable to change, or they change their behaviors, but the learning is problematic. So we will be discussing the theory about growth in this world. So the equation is simple: rate of learning plus rate of change. To fully grasp that essence, we must dissect the two critical components to each part here. The rate of learning is simply the speed of which you take in information that you are not aware of, and then you would learn it fully and capably, are able in a way to use that new knowledge in a different way. And in a way, this knowledge as the hierarchy of learning states should not be just about understanding or memorization. As you can see here in Bloom's taxonomy, the simple and most important part about learning is explained here, which is to fully immerse yourself up here, not just in the understanding or remembering part, but to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. The creation part is for the PhD guys, or the parts who are going to find insights in businesses and make these insights or things that they have found in real life turn into ideas to use to make more money. But the most important part that the person needs to think of is applying, analyzing, and evaluation. The second component is to change. The real magic is, and most of the people here are suffering from. If you have the knowledge, but you are unable to change your beliefs, unable to change the person that you are, then it is probably you're going to obviously lose. Imagine you're a coach, as an example that I've given, to help your clients achieve their goals, but you find that despite all of your effort, they struggle to implement the strategies. They obviously are going to blame you for that, but in essence, it's their fault, and at the same time, your fault for not helping them change. And the other part that I want to relate to the whole sequence here is that for a person to grow, there needs to happen, then there is something new that needs to be added to the equation, which is focus. But we sometimes may interpret focus as a tool that only happens if we are motivated, or it is the right time for it, or the world aligns, or we are disciplined actually. These are the two things that we would consider to be the most important parts that can lead to a person's focus. But motivation, in a way, as opposed to discipline, is that people look at it. And the biggest mistake that everyone makes when trying to observe motivation is to look at the outcome of motivation. We observe the behaviors of motivated people and try to mimic these actions. But motivation in itself is an internal mental process. It's not something that you can just look at in a person and say that, well, this action is an action of a person who is motivated. that motivated people wake up early, work hard every day, and are dedicated and disciplined, or the other way around. Disciplined people wake up every single day early, do the hard work, especially when they don't feel like it, and they are dedicated and motivated. This perspective comes from observing the outcome of motivation rather than the motivation itself. Because it's like looking at the wings and feather of a bird and assuming that what allows flight, as you can see. In other words, you look at a bird. Let me draw a bird. That's the closest thing that they can get to a bird. It's good enough. And you would think that the feathers and the wings are the only factor that can lead to the bird being able to fly. But if you get a human being, for instance, you and me, you would give them the feathers, you would give them the wings, and let the human being fly from a place. Well, it would be two simple outcomes here. First, fall damage. If there is no fall damage, as in video games, then the person survives, or the person simply is executed and dies. The truth is, motivation exists solely within the mind. It has nothing to do with your behavior. So no matter if you are disciplined or motivated, it doesn't matter. The actions are only dictated by other factors. So, what is the inner mental process that drives motivation? Based on extensive personal experience and research from highly individual people, found that motivation is just the ability to hold the thought steady in your mind for a prolonged period of time. In other words, we mistake motivation and discipline with real and old-fashioned focus. Because motivation and discipline are just symptoms to what is the most important aspect here, which is focus. Motivation isn't about wanting something more or being disciplined or having big and amazing goals. It's what is happening in your mind at the moment. You may be capable of focusing. You may hate the moment. But that would never and should never be the dictating factor to your success. Your feelings do not dictate your success or the outcome. It should only be focus, your why, your reason behind doing the action. These are the only things that should dictate that. So, to sum this up, it's simple. A person needs to improve his learning ability and needs to be capable of changing. So the next time you're trying to help someone grow or help yourself grow in business, focus on these two parts because they are the most important part and they are the missing piece. And when you're trying to look at focus, don't look at the symptoms, but rather realize that focus is external and motivation and discipline is an internal act that should never dictate any single thing. So in summary, you can find that motivation isn't that special, or is not about special willpower or wanting something badly enough. It's simply about what your mind is focused on and its ability to remain focused without getting derailed. Once you understand the core principle of habits, productivity, and so on, you will naturally fall into place through the mechanisms of discipline and so on. So it's not that important. You should never look at these things. You should never look at the symptoms, but you should always focus on what matters, It focus. I don't know how to write. And it should be about growth and nothing else. You're asking me, how can someone focus when he doesn't want to do something? Well, there is a solution here. As human beings, we do things when we want. There is a whole cycle that happens here. So if you don't want to do something, then we don't do it. That's what most people do. But we think that you are not motivated enough, or you are not disciplined enough. There is nothing that is called motivated enough. That's what psychology and the research is saying. The problem is that you are running in the wrong direction. You are motivated in the wrong direction. Your goal may be to do outreach or something, but you are here watching a video. You're motivated in the wrong direction. And as we described earlier, the want to do something is motivation. The internal feeling that you have is motivation. The issue here is not that you're not motivated, but rather you're not motivated enough. Or in other words, the issue is not that you're motivated and not motivated enough, but rather that you are motivated in the wrong direction. Simple solution is to get bored. You need to be capable of accepting the fact that you need to be bored in order for you to succeed. You will find that there are patterns, that there are things that lead you to doing something or lead you to not doing that. And it's crucial to remember that simply providing the system is not enough. You must also instill a sense of ownership and accountability in yourself and of course in your client. And every single thing that I'm talking here, you can also implement it in yourself and mind, and of course in your clients. There are a few steps that you need to take that simply are going to boil down into: 1. Know what you need to do. 2. Have a simple goal. 3rd step, be bored. And have to choose between sleep or watching a wall. Eventually this will lead you to be motivated in the right direction, which is to work. That is literally the only guide that you need for productivity. Closing thoughts. You'll need to always remember that you just got knowledge. And as we said, growth is only about learning and then growing. The time that is left for you now is for you to change. And if you are going to change alone, then it is fine. But if you want my help in order for you to change, we have businesses make 50K a month by creating an infrastructure into their business and create a high ticket 5K to 10K offer in just 90 days. Watch the video below or book a call if you want to learn more about that.